welcome to VOP News Update. I'm Moses Humphrey. President Bola, the president has urged the newly appointed ministers to serve the country with integrity, dignity, and deliver in their different assignments. Tinubu, while speaking during the swearing-in ceremony of the 45 ministers designate at the presidential villa Abuja yesterday, noted that the country is currently battling daunting challenges, adding that the ministers must implement long overdue reforms. Tinubu stated that the ministers' duties will begin immediately and that they must meet the expectations of Nigerians. The president told the new cabinet members that they are representatives of the entire country and not ministers of a region or state. Vice President Kashim Shettima yesterday had departed Abuja for Johannesburg in South Africa to represent President Tinubu at the 15th BRICS Summit of Heads of State and Government. BRICS, which is an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is a group of 5 major emerging and developing economies. A statement yesterday in Abuja by the Director of Information in the Office of the Vice President, Mr. Olushola Abiola, stated that Shettima will join other business and political leaders across the world at the summit, which will hold at the Sandton Convention Center in Johannesburg from today, August 22 to the 24th. Notable leaders expected to attend the event include South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, Chinese President Xi Jinping, Brazilian President Luiz Lula da Silva, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. 73 dignitaries, including the Secretary General of the United Nations, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, and President of the New Development Bank, have also been invited to attend the summit. The event is expected to deliberate on trade and investment facilitation, sustainable development, innovation, and global governance reform. It will also continue its outreach to leaders from Africa and the global south, focusing on global geopolitical, trade, and infrastructure development. The vice president is accompanied to the summit by some senior government officials and is expected back in the country at the end of the week. The newly appointed Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Nyesom Wike, has issued a stern warning that houses constructed in unauthorized locations in Abuja will be subject to demolition, even if owned by ministers or ambassadors. Wike conveyed this message during a press briefing yesterday, shortly after he and 44 other ministers were inaugurated in Abuja following their appointment by President Tinubu. Wike emphasized that the decision to demolish structures situated illegally in Abuja, which disrupt the city's master plan, will be irrespective of the occupant's status. When questioned if the demolition warning is a targeted effort against his adversaries, the FCT minister clarified that his objective is to restore the capital territory to its previous state and not to pursue a witch hunt against anyone. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has directed international shipping companies operating within Nigeria's territorial waters to promptly address their tax obligations. It was gathered that in a notice issued yesterday and endorsed by the executive chairman of FIRS, Mohammed Nami, emphasized that all pertinent international shipping firms must resolve their overdue tax return by December 31, 2023. Now, this directive from FIRS follows 2 prior circulars issued in June and December 2021 pertaining to the tax compliance status of international shipping lines. The FIRS has stated that it is partnering with appropriate security agencies to initiate enforcement measures against non-compliant shipping companies once the grace period concludes on December 31, 2023. In business, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has lamented that the federal government is placing its 77 trillion naira debt burden on the manufacturers in the country. The association also mentioned that its members have been hit with high multiple taxes. The association noted that Nigeria's rising domestic debt is affecting the survival of private investment in the manufacturing sector. This, it said, reduces the availability of credit facilities and brings about increased lending rates. It revealed that the depreciation of the naira is also caused by the servicing of external debts in foreign currencies. Man blamed the federal government for the unfavorable business climate in the country, citing the indiscriminate imposition of high and multiple taxes on manufacturers. The association cautioned the government not to see the high taxation on the manufacturing sector as the last resort to generate revenue in order to service the nation's debt. Man noted that despite the country's debt financing, it's yet to feel its impact on the sector's numerous challenges. In foreign things, Japan will begin releasing over 1 million metric tons of treated radioactive water from the damaged Fukushima nuclear plant into the Pacific Ocean on Thursday, over the objections of local fishermen and the government of neighboring China. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida made the announcement after meeting with his cabinet. The plan to release the water was formulated 2 years ago. He added that the government has done everything to ensure public safety, maintain transparency regarding the release, and protect the reputation of local fisheries. The water was used to heat nuclear fuel rods at the Fukushima plant, which suffered meltdown after a massive earthquake and tsunami in 2011. The water has been stored in giant tanks since then, but the plant is nearing capacity, and the government says the water needs to be released in order to decommission the damaged plant, a process which will take decades. The government says the water has been treated to remove radioactive materials, with the exception of tritium, which has been diluted to 1/40th of Japan's safety standards. The International Atomic Energy Agency says the government's plan meets global safety standards. Japan is also wary of allowing the water release issue to undermine a fragile rapprochement underway with neighboring South Korea. The South Korean government has approved of Japan's plan, but opposition politicians say they will file a complaint with the United Nations Human Rights Council because they claim the release violates Japan's international agreements. Some South Korean consumers are already avoiding Japanese seafood. In sports now, Sevilla continued its early struggles, losing to promoted Elves 4-3, making it its second consecutive loss to start the Spanish league. Sevilla also lost to Manchester City on penalties in the UEFA Super Cup final last week and was looking to turn things around against an opponent it hadn't lost to in 9 straight league games. Sevilla got on the board before halftime with an own goal by Abdel Abkar and Eric Lamela. Rafa Maya added the third deep into second half stoppage time. Sevilla hasn't won in its last 6 league games, going back to last season, with 2 draws and 4 losses. It also got off to a slow start last season and was near the relegation zone for a lengthy period. Late on Monday, Granada looked to bounce back from its opening loss at Atletico Madrid when it hosted Rayo Vallecano, which won at Almeria in the competition's first game last weekend. Rayo was unbeaten in its last 7 league matches against Granada. And that's the news update on VOP TV. We'd like you to subscribe and engage us on YouTube. It's Voice of the People TV. And on other social media channels, it's at VOP TV Live. I am Moses Humphrey.